Get ready for the best holiday sale of the year. For a limited time, enjoy 50% off annual news subscriptions at inforum.news/gift. That's right, 50% off unlimited access to local news so you can stay informed and connected to your community. It's a gift you'll want to give yourself. This incredible holiday offer ends December 22nd, so don't miss out. Subscribe now at inforum.news/gift.
Around this time every year, my hospital administrator dad would put away his suit and tie and put on the Santa gear with very mixed results. Hi, this is Tracy Briggs, and welcome to Back Then. Maybe it's appropriate that red is the color of Christmas, a holiday that evokes so many vivid memories, should be represented by a rich, saturated color like red. I'm blessed to have had so many holiday memories through the years. I've written about a few of them, including driving around Fargo-Moorhead on Christmas Eve to look at the lights and hear my parents marvel at how empty the West Acres parking lot was after a few frenzied weeks. Watching White Christmas every single year, tempting me to sing about snow, snow, snow every winter, or wanting to say mutual, I'm sure, whenever I meet someone new. Fans of White Christmas certainly get those references. And finally, opening gifts on Christmas morning, followed by Mom's wonderful turkey or ham dinner. She was the best cook. But I've never written about another Christmas memory that I just took for granted for so many years. In the late 1970s, my father, Bruce Briggs, a well-respected healthcare administrator in town, turned into Santa. Now, a disclaimer. For any of you kids who might be advanced and are actually listening to this podcast or reading the online newspaper story, please understand that my dad was simply helping the real Santa. Anyway, maybe it was a way for Dad to fully embrace the holiday season. Maybe it was a way to unwind after a stressful day at the office. Maybe he lost a bet. Okay, I know it was not that last thing. No one forced him to dress like Santa. He loved it, and probably did it for close to 30 years. Here's how it would work. Dad would mention to his friends and coworkers that he could play Santa for their kids and grandkids. Sometimes he'd go to their homes, have them sit on his lap, and tell them everything they wanted for Christmas. Sometimes it was just a phone call. I can still remember my mom telling my sister Cheryl, my brother Bob, and me, "Be kind of quiet. Dad is up in the bedroom making those Santa calls." Later, I would hear a random ho, ho, ho coming from behind the bedroom door as I watched Happy Days in the family room. Looking back, I just hope I kept the TV volume down low enough so Dad didn't need to explain to the kids why one of his elves sounded like the Fonz. Dad would spend hours and hours on those phone calls and visits. So you can imagine how happy my sister was when she had her own children in the early 1990s, daughter Peyton in 92 and son Drew in 93. And she knew Papa could play Santa for them. She said, "Dad played Santa for not only my kids, but also for young toddlers in a play group I was a part of, as well as kids of friends in a dinner group. It was so fun watching these children smile and interact with Santa/Dad as he patiently and sweetly listened to each and every one of them." Cheryl recalls her kids were a little overwhelmed at first. Peyton was a little shy, but both of them liked his visits. Even so, Dad was met with skepticism by his grandchildren. One of my most vivid memories of that particular Santa visit was when Peyton said, "I'm not sure Santa came on his sleigh because I heard him jingle car keys in his pocket, just like Papa does." Later, my nephew Drew followed him out the door and probably saw him getting into said car. Cheryl said, "That's when the gig was up for Peyton and Drew." Throughout the 1990s, Dad continued his Santa visits with other families as well. By the early 2000s, I had my two daughters, Laura in 2002 and Jordan in 2004. And like my sister, I was excited for our Santa visit. We invited our friends, Drew and Julie Rutherford, to bring their daughter Eliana over for the Santa visit. Ellie is a year older than Laura and our goddaughter. I think in those early years, Julie and I kind of felt like we each had three daughters. They used to hang out together so much. Julie even surprised me with a special Christmas photo of the girls. Anyway, Santa's visit day came. He knocked on the door. My memory is a little fuzzy from those sleep-deprived days of being a toddler and preschool mom, and I was also working in early morning radio, so I was running on very little sleep. But I do recall Santa's arrival being something akin to Freddy Krueger's arrival on Elm Street. Terror. The three girls were not happy. They saw the guy in the red suit, but wanted nothing to do with him. Maybe that's why we have so few photos of the visit. Our hands were tied up, holding and hugging three little girls. The girls eventually settled down and maybe even let us get a photo. I remember a later visit when Jordan was a little bit older, maybe 4 or 5. She had obviously inherited her cousin's skepticism, saying, "I think it's funny how Papa and Santa have the same shoes." Poor Dad, once again, met with suspicion from a loved one. Dad died in 2019. Shortly before he died, I remember him talking about how much he loved his Santa days and how funny it was that his grandkids were not always his biggest fans when he put on his Santa gear. He said, "I spent $400 on that Santa suit, but I'm glad at least the other kids liked it." The irony, of course, is how deeply Peyton, Drew, Laura, and Jordan loved their grandpa, but put him in a red suit and all bets were off. Now that we're spending another Christmas without Dad and Mom, who died in 1992, I long for those days of hearing ho, ho, ho behind his bedroom door. I don't think I ever really appreciated what a kind and generous thing it was that he did every year. It wasn't about money. He certainly never charged anything. He became Santa for the love of his friends and their children and grandchildren. As I said earlier, I took my dad's sweet Christmas gesture for granted. I don't anymore. Dad eventually donated that $400 Santa suit to charity after our kids grew up. So maybe another grandpa somewhere is wearing it and having better luck fooling his grandchildren. Let's hope so anyway. But even with the skepticism Dad, as Santa, received from some of the kids in his family, those visits now rank as some of our favorite Christmas memories over the last 25 years. As sweet as the cookies we left out for Santa on Christmas Eve. So if there is a grandpa or grandma out there who inherited Dad's Santa suit, give it a go surprising your grandchildren. But Dad would probably offer you this advice. Change your shoes. And for heaven's sake, don't jingle those car keys. And that is Back Then for this week. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and I'll catch you next time.
Get reliable and accurate local news with Inform.com. Inform.com is your trusted local news source with journalists dedicated to keeping you informed about what's happening in your community. Visit Inform.com now.